Hello guys, welcome back to Susan IS Academy. So today we are going to discuss GS2 important uh, theme list for UPSC 2026 mains. So people who are appearing for UPSC 2026 mains, UPSC 2026 mains, which is scheduled from August 21st to 30. So for them we are going to give this GS2 important topic list. So we have divided this important topic list across these three subparts, one from polity and another from governance and social justice and another from international relations. So we have divided these topics from by analyzing 13 years of PYQ questions and also important newspaper articles from last 1 year and PYQ based themes and important Supreme Court judgments which have been released over period of 1 year time. So it totally covers of 69 topics and we have divided into three sections. So those who are appearing for UPSC 2026, they can refer these topics, right? So chalo. So firstly we'll cover these polity topics. So these polity topics for UPSC Mains 2026, it consists of 37 topics overall. So which includes like constitutional provisions from judiciary and elections, federalism and parliament, and with current affair linkages. Okay. So here is our first important probable theme, which is parliamentary committees. So over the years UPSC is asking repeatedly this topic. It is a high relevance UPSC PYQ based theme, so one has to make their own notes by preparing these parliamentary committees. So what are the this is a micro theme or a topic. We have to prepare our notes from these topics, like from these parliamentary committees. So like basically parliamentary committees are like it is as two types, like standing committees and ad hoc committees. It can be referred as like financial committees also. Like in financial committees we are having PAC, public accounts committees, estimate committees, right, and a committee and public undertaking, public undertakings. So from these committees or departmental standing committees, we are having those or departmental related standing committees. So questions can be asked from these questions, like in which way we have to make our notes or we have to be ready for writing, means like their composition, their appointment, their tenure, and their functions and significance. Their functions and significance. Functions, significance, right, their role in executive accountability and recent declining parliamentary scrutiny and issues with referring to bills to the committees. So and also what are the reforms we can take to strengthen the this committee system. So one has to be prepared these parliamentary committees in a 360 degrees so that one can be write their mains at high speed, right. And second topic, second high probable topic we can refer for this means is GST and fiscal federalism. So what is the constitutional basis of GST is 101 Constitutional Amendment Act, 101 Constitutional Amendment Act, GST Council, and Article 279A. Okay, its composition and voting mechanism and center state fiscal relations, and what are the GST compensation issues. So okay, and what are the recent Supreme Court views on GST Council recommendations, and also reforms for strengthening fiscal federalism, reforms for strengthening fiscal federalism. So one has to cover these issues in this fiscal federalism and GST, like issues of GST compensation, GST Council, and state fiscal autonomy. So these are the two topics we have discussed now. One is parliamentary committees, and second one is GST and fiscal federalism, and third one is right to equality. So here articles are like article 14 to 18. It comes under right to equality. So we have to UPSC already asked many times questions about comparison of USA and India's right to equality, and also equality before law versus equal protection of law, and also reasonable classifications, and arbitrariness doctrine, substantial equality, affirmative action, and also they can be asked equality with reservation. So, and some latest important Supreme Court judgments. One has to be referred latest important Supreme Court judgments on right to equality. Right. So these are the topics you can cover for right to equality for this UPSC 2026 mains. So I'm telling you the main theme, main topics, probable topics, and from there, if you can prepare 1 or 2 pages notes, the dimensions which I'm telling here, then if you are going to cover, then your answer can be in a complete form. And also the fourth topic which we are taking here, like freedom of movement, and freedom of movement, it comes under article 19 clause 1 clause D. So we have to refer this. And reasonable restrictions under article 19 clause 5, public interest and scheduled tribe protection, movement which resident rise, internal migration, and what are the restrictions imposed by the states. Restrictions imposed by the states. Restrictions imposed by the states. Constitutional dimensions of freedom and movement under Article 19. And what are the relevant Supreme Court jurisprudence? Relevant Supreme Court judgments about right to freedom. So one has to learn about these topics. One is parliamentary committees, GST and fiscal federalism, right to equality, freedom of movement, and fourth is informational privacy and digital search. I hope I'm hoping there will be one question on this about this thing. Why? Because many articles were in the news of this article 21, like right to privacy under article 21, Puttathwamy judgment, right to privacy under article 21, and also about Puttathwamy judgment. It has been asked before, but one has to refer this judgment over and again. We have to cite in our mains answer. Judgment and informational privacy, digital searches and seizure, state surveillance, proportionality test, a data protection framework, privacy with legitimate state interest, safeguards and judicial oversight. One has to be referred these dimensions in your answer while reading this informational privacy and digital search, right? And the sixth topic we are going to discuss about removal of judges, and this is the most important thing one has to be read before going writing UPSC Mains 2026. Why? Because this removal of judges were in the news from last 2-3 years consecutively. Why? Because Justice Yashwant Verma and GR Swaminathan issues has been rising consistently in the parliament and in the newspaper, and even the motion has been moved in parliament also regarding Yashwant Verma, Justice Yashwant Verma case. He has been transferred. He is a judge of the Delhi High Court, and over some amount of money were found at his home, and later it was circulated virally in media, and then he was being transferred to Allahabad High Court, and then after that he has been resigned by himself. So even he has been resigned by himself, still that inquiry is going on now. So why? Because this removal of judges thing is very important to you. So what are the dimensions one has to be covered in removal of judges? So first thing, constitutional provisions for removal. Constitutional provisions. What are the constitutional provisions? Constitutional provisions. And second, articles covered under 124 clause 4. Article 124 clause 4, 124 clause 5, and 217, and about Judges Inquiry Act, and meaning of proved misbehavior and incapacity, and its removal procedure, and what is the role of the Parliament in removing the judges of the High Court or Supreme Court, and also there can be a question like judicial independence with accountability, and in-house procedure. What are the in-house procedure? And also National Judicial Appointments Commission's debate, and what are the reforms one should be taken of judicial accountability. So these are the dimensions you can prepare in this removal of judges topic, right? I hope everyone is getting now. So the next topic is nomination of candidates, uh, like constitutional and statutory framework of nomination of candidates, representation of people acts, nomination procedures, criminal antecedents, electoral transparency, and what is the role of ECI. So one can be referred in this nomination candidates. So then the eighth important topic is CAG. You can call as a CAG, okay, and the central sponsor scheme. And CAG, you can call it as a CAG, like Article 148 to 151, and its appointment and independence of CAG, powers and functions, recent CAG reports, and the Parliament, and what are the performance of income outcome auditing, okay, and accountability in public expenditures, limitations of CAG, and reforms. One can be referred in this topic, right? And also animal rights with human rights, judicial balancing. Nowadays animal rights, this issue has been in news, like Delhi stray dog issue, and even in Hyderabad stray dog issue. So Supreme Court have laid down some guidance for this stray dog. So one has to be refer these topics, like they have to cover Article 21 in this in this theme. Article 21, Article 48A, and Article 51A. Article 48A and Article 51A clause G, right? And animal welfare framework, and also with respect to prevention of cruelty to animal act, like public safety with animal welfare, role of local bodies in the stray dog issues, and what is judicial approach. And one can be write a balanced policy solutions, right? So there has to be prepared these animal rights with human rights in these dimensions, right? And the next topic is like bail under special laws, like personal liberty under Article 21, personal liberty under Article 21 they have to cover. And the Supreme Court has been said many times in various judgments that bail is the rule, jail is the exception, right? Bail is the rule, jail is the exception. So you have to refer this quote while quoting your answers. So right, and what are ordinary bail with stringent special law bails, and recently many cases under UAPA. So under UAPA, what are the bail provisions? One has to be referred, right? And presumption of innocence, and prolonged incarceration, and speedy trials, and what are the recent Supreme Court judgment about these topics, about bails and all. So and also issues with liberty and national security, right? So these dimensions you should cover under this bail special laws, right? And with respect to freedom of speech and sedition, and this one also most important topic, like debate surrounding around Article 152 of the BNS 2023. So freedom of speech comes under Article 19 clause 1 clause A, and what are the restrictions under Article 19 clause 2, and historical sedition law, and section 152 of BNS, and also section 152 of BNF, and national security with dissent, national security with dissent. I hope those who are preparing for mains 2026, they can be understand what I'm talking and what I'm writing here. You would have referred these topics in your mains notes, like any in current affair magazines, or while you are taking any classes for mains. You can, I think you are understanding these things what I'm saying here, right? So, and also national security with dissent, it's a topic, it's a issue under freedom of speech, and important Supreme Court judgments and safeguards against misuse. And what are the safeguards against its misuse, against its issues? So these dimensions one has to be covered in freedom of speech and seditions, right? Okay. And finance commissions, they were asking, like even 15th finance commission has been asked before, even in prelims and mains. So 16th finance commission can be also asked, like article 280. Okay. Composition and functions, and vertical devaluation, horizontal devaluation, criteria for distribution, grant in aid, and local government finances, fiscal capacity of states, center state financial imbalances, and what are the issues before 16th finance commission. So these are the dimensions you should cover in this finance commission topics, right? So next, qualification and disqualification of MPs and MLAs, like what are the provisions under article 84, 102, 173, and 191. And as to refer articles 84, you have to quote these articles in your exam, so that whenever you are quoting these articles na, you will get good score in your mains answers. Like you can why topper getting 120 plus 123, 127, 128, even 132 and 115 plus, why they are getting? So they are quoting all these articles, Supreme Court judgments, reports, exact keywords and provisions of RPA and articles, everything they are writing. So that's why they are getting more marks compared to you. So right. So one has to refer RPA Act also, RPA Act 1951, and Office of Profit, Criminal Convention. So, and what are the decision making authority, and Lilly Thomas judgment, and has to refer in their answers. And disqualification with electoral eligibility, and what are the reforms one can be taken in this qualification and disqualification of MPs, right? Okay. And reservation and subclassification, one has to be again quote articles 14, 15, and 16. These are the dimensions one can be covered. And what are the constitutional basis of reservation, constitutional basis of reservation, and the reservation of ST, OBC reservation, and subclassification within scheduled classes, right? And creamy layer debate, and recent Supreme Court judgments and arguments for and arguments against subclassification, right? So you can cover all these dimensions in reservation policies. And what and governors power, like Supreme Court judgments and governors powers, like articles comes under article 153 to 161. And appointments and tenure, what are the discretionary powers, article 200, and assent to state bills, withholding or reserving the bills, governor and state conflicts, Supreme Court judgments, and Sarkaria and Punchi Commission recommendations, and what are the reforms to governor office. So these are the issues one can be covered in governor's power thing, right? Okay. Then right to die with dignity, passive euthanasia, we can talk about it. Harish Rana case, like article 21 again, passive euthanasia, living wills, right, and common cause judgment, right to life is right to die, what are dimension under medical ethics, safeguard against misuse, and the recent judgments about this right to die with dignity, right. And second, another thing is access to justice and free legal aid. So justice, free legal aid article, it comes under 39A, and also article 14 and 21, right to equality, and legal services authorities act, nalsa, lok adalas, free legal aid, and what are the barriers to access to justice, and issues about under trial prisoners, and e-court and legal technology and reforms. So these are the multiple dimensions you can cover in this access to justice and free legal aid. And what about sir? There has been a lot of debate over from last 2 years about sir. Why? Because there has been issues in Bihar and West Bengal and even in Tamil Nadu, and now in Telangana also the ongoing debate is going about sir. And the sir has been conduct now. The sir has been going on in Telangana also. So one has to be know its constitutional role of ECI, constitutional role of ECI. Then Article 324 about electoral rolls, RPI Act 1950, like citizenship document concerns and universal adult franchise, ECI's powers, and what are the judicial scrutiny and electoral integrity with disfranchisement. These are the issues one can be covered under sir, right. And then is the most important topic is office of speaker. Office as speaker has been asked many times in UPSC mains exams, although one has to be prepared this topic in a 360 degrees. So what are the dimensions you could cover? Constitutional positions, constitutional position, election and removal, powers and functions, money bill certification, anti-defection decisions, speaker's neutrality, and judicial review, and issues arising from partisan conduct, and what are the reforms that proposal can be made. So these are the dimensions you can cover under office of the speaker, right. And then next one is interstate water disputes also, interstate, right. Questions are asking every year on this also, comes under article 262 and entry 17, issue about entry 17 and entry 56, right. And recently the ongoing issue between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, right. One has to be know about this topic entirely. And interstate river water dispute act, river water tribunals, and Supreme Court role, and issues going na Kaveri, Mahanadi, Megadothu, Tungabhadra type disputes, right. And federalism and water sharing issues, permanent tribunal proposal. One has to be read from this topic, right. And next one is women reservation in legislature, right. Nari Shaktan Vandan Adhiniyam and the Constitution 131st Amendment Bill, right. One has to know about these things. Recent constitutional amendment, 33% reservation, Lok Sabha and state assemblies, rotation of seats, women's political representation, arguments and limitations. And also we can include Panchayat Raj reservation experience. Now we have Panchayat Raj reservation earlier than this women reservation in parliament and state legislature. So one has to can quote that panchayat reservation experience also, right? Yes. Then the most other important thing is right to environment. That recently Aravalli Hills conservation issue has been going on. So and the evolution of environmental rights under Article 21, and also Article Article 48A, and again 51A Clause G, and polluter pays principles. Polluter pays principle, precautionary principle, public trust doctrine, sustainable development, environmental jurisprudence, development with conservation. So this can be asked in even ethics case studies also. These are the dimensions or ethical dimensions you can quote in your answers, right? So these all are related to Aravalli related conservation issue. I hope this issue related to Aravalli Hills conservation, it can be asked in any subject, I guess, in any paper, or even ethics also, in even ethics case study also, or maybe in SC also. So one has to be prepared entirely about this topic, right? Then the criminalization of politics, scale and causes, RPA provisions. Okay, candidates with criminal cases, candidates disclosures, Supreme Court interventions, and political party accountability, decriminalization proposals, and what are the electoral reforms. So one has to be read in this topic. And then right to personality, this one also. So meaning of personality rights in India, meaning of personality rights. So judicial recognition of personality rights, that is privacy, dignity, commercial use of identity, right? Name, image, voice, likeness, celebrity, personality rights, commercial exploitation, AI or deepfakes issues. There were many cases are going now regarding issue of AI and deepfakes, right? And freedom of expression with personality rights. These are the dimension one should cover under right to personality, right? Then social media and hate speech and free speech. This is the most important topic for your minds, like even for 2026 or even for 2027. This topic can be a game changer topic. So one has to prepare this topic entirely, like it comes under Article 19 clause 1 clause A and 19 clause 2. And what is the meaning of hate speech, meaning of hate speech, meaning of hate speech, like online misinformation, okay, platform responsibility, intermediary liability, and what are the IT regulatory frameworks regarding this hate speech. And also one has to be debate about free speech and with its regulations, and what is the judicial approach regarding hate speech, and need for a balanced regulatory framework, need for balanced regulatory framework, right? One has to be prepared this hate speech topic in a 360 degrees manner, so he can be write this answer very well in his exam. And next, the most important other topic is emergency. So articles related to emergency are 352, 356 and 360. So national emergency, right? Fundamental rights during emergency, Article 358 and 359. 44th Amendment safeguards, judicial review, and lessons for constitutional democracy. One has to be cover these dimensions in emergency part, right? And the most another important thing is anti-defection. Why this anti-defection is important this year? There has been lot of defection happen in our country, even in West Bengal and even in Delhi. Even in West Bengal, after defeat of Trinamool Congress, BJP has came to the power there, and there are some Lok Sabha MPs and Rajya Sabha MPs has been defected, or they have been formed as a separate group, and they have been expelled from TMCs. And this anti-defection has been an issue in various states, and even in Delhi also, over 11 to 12 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs has been defected from AAP to BJP. They have been merged their party into BJP. So defection has been an issue over decades. This topic has been a favorite topic of UPSC's in last 10 to 15 years. So, and recently the defections are high. So, and many more articles were published in newspapers, and lot of news were circulating. So one has to be prepared thoroughly about this anti-defection. Like it comes under 10th schedule, and grounds for disqualifications. What are the grounds for disqualification? Merger exceptions. Likewise said, merger exception. Like AAP MLAs have been merged with BJP. So you should know that how much merge should is accepted. 1/3 merge is accepted or 2/3 merge is accepted. Like, right? And role of speaker in anti-defection law, and judicial review, and cases like Kyoto Holohon, Nabam Rabia case, something like one has to be known and they have to be quote in your answers. And problems with the law. What are the problems with anti-defection law? One has to be write these points, right? And impact and legislative dissent, and what are the reforms proposal needed to tackle with these defections, right? Okay. So the most important other topic is contempt court. Like contempt comes under article 129 and 215. So recently that issue also has been happened now. One person appearing in case, and he went and in the Supreme Court he told to the Honorable Chief Justice as a judicial servant, and he used some vulgar words, and it has been viral throughout the internet. So one can be taken as a contempt, but court has forgive him. So this topic is also important. Debate over contempt jurisdiction. Okay, and inside the textbook controversy happened, right? Like what is civil with criminal contempt, and Contempt of Courts Act. Scandalizing the court, freedom of speech with judicial authority, criticism of judiciary, and need for reforms. These dimensions you have to cover. Okay, then judicial activism. Judicial activism pill and article 142. It is a broader topic, so one has to cover judicial activism with judicial overreach in this topic. And another thing is origin and development of PIL. Origin and development of PIL. Article 32 and Article 226, Article 142, and complete justice doctrine, they have to be covered, and separation of powers, and what are the benefits and criticisms, and recent Supreme Court approach regarding this judicial activism, right? And the most important other topic which can be directly come in our mains 2026, it is delimitation. Why? Because their last 2-3 months in May or April, government tried to introduce a delimitation act in the parliament, but that bill has been dissented by opposition members, and it has not become an act. So we have to know this articles 82 and article 170, and delimitation commission. Okay, constitutional amendments, freezing seats, freezing seats, and population based representation, population based representation, north south concerns, federal implication. Like for north south concerns, like there has been news like that there will be more number of Lok Sabha seats in northern India where compared to southern India. So southern India is going to be lost in this delimitation exercise. There are issues like this, and women reservation connection, representation with population control incentives. So, and what are the possible reforms models needed in this delimitation act? So one has to cover these dimensions in this delimitation, so that you can score good marks in your mains. Okay, and what are the new dimensions of Article 21? Privacy, dignity, clean environment, health, shelter, livelihood, speedy trial. Then most important thing, reproductive and autonomy rights. Reproductive and autonomy rights, and recent expansion through Supreme Court judgments. Okay, right. And National Human Rights Commission also. It has been asked before also, and one has to be read now also. Like Protection of Human Rights Act, composition, its appointment, its powers and functions, and recommendatory natures, independence concerns, right, and GNHRI aggregation issue, right, and institutional reforms. What are the institutional reforms can be taken in National Human Rights Commission? And then another thing is judicial review and basic structure doctrine. Judicial review, and these articles like Article 13, Article 32, Article 136, Article 226, right? And what are the constitutional amendments? And the most important, Kesavananda Bharati, Kesavananda Bharati case, and basic structure components. Basic structure components. Okay, and the Minerva Mills case, the famous Minerva Mills case, and the judicial review, and that parliamentary sovereignty with constitutional supremacy, and their criticism and contemporary relevances. You have to be referred all these topics. So far we have covered these important topics in politics section, which can be expected in our UPSC Mains 2026. And as I told you also, the different dimension under each topic, one has to be referred and one has to be read in various dimension angle, so that you can cover that issue in a 360 degrees manner. So there is a high probability of scoring good marks in your mains, right? Okay, then second part we are going to discuss in GS paper 2 high probable list. This is governance and social issues. Social justice, sorry. Governance and social justice part. So in this we are having 16 topics, right? So the most important thing is self-help groups. This is a high relevance UPSC PY based thing. It has been asked many times in UPSC, and even coaching institutes also, while writing your any mock test, they will be asked these questions, right? Like what is SHG bank linkage, right? Women's empowerment, financial inclusion, livelihood, challenges and reforms, right? SHG bank linkage, women's empowerment, and types of self-help groups, right, and financial inclusions, livelihood, like that Kudumbashree model from Kerala, you can refer, right, challenges, Lakapati Didi is also in Bihar. Challenges and reforms. So under self-help groups na, this is the most important and expected topic every year na, one has to be read this topic. And also at the transgender rights, that Nalsa judgment is very important in this. Okay. And constitutional rights, what are the constitutional rights of transgenders? And Transgender Person Act. And what are the discrimination facing by transgenders in the society? And education, employment, their health care and implementation gaps. One also refer implementation gaps also. Okay, right. And then civil services reforms, shift towards a whole of government approach. Like what are the reforms needed? Like neutrality, accountability, specialization, mission karma yogi, right? Performance evaluation and ARC recommendations. These are the dimensions you should covered in civil services reforms. Okay. Then CBI and ED, statutory and legal basis, or legal basis. Its jurisdictions. Issues going on, a debate on institutional autonomy. So like this, jurisdiction and appointment, its autonomy, political misuse, and reforms needed. So one has to be covered these topics in CBI and ED. Okay. Then issues in child malnutrition, you have to cover this child malnutrition topic also extensively. So stunting, cover stunting, wasting, underweight, right? Anemia issue. There were many articles on anemia as well, and its causes, National Family Health Survey, like indicators, and you can quote like Poshan, ICDS, PM Poshan, and multi-sectoral solutions. One has to be quote in your child malnutrition issues, right? And then Forest Rights Act, individual or community forest rights. Gram Sabha, role of Gram Sabha, tribal rights, implementation problem, and also conservation with livelihood debate is going on. So this issue also can be dealt in this Forest Rights Act, right? Then the most important thing is Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Azvika. VBG Ram bill has been passed now recently. So we have to refer this. Previously it is Manrega. So the try to work, rural employment, wage delays, funding, social audits, technology, women participation, and reforms. These dimensions you should cover in this scheme. So if you can cover these dimensions, so you will be score good, right? Yes. And then the most important, the other thing is RT Act, RT Right to Education, Article 21A, that minority institutions na, question can be asked. There were many articles in newspaper since last 1 year about minority institutions and quality of education, learning outcomes and reforms. And social media also, pressure groups of environmental pressure groups also. And recently that CJP led protest has been there, and before also many environmental pressure groups and even farmer organization also did during that farm laws. So one has to cover this one, right? And school consolidation and equitable education, like school closures, mergers, access with efficiency, and rural tribal students, right? Right. And then UPSC also, 100 years of UPSC. There can be a expected question like on UPSC Article 315 to Article 323, its composition, independence, right? Constitutional safeguards, challenges and examination reforms. One has to be covered here, right? And this next one is women entrepreneurship. Women entrepreneurs like financial inclusion, Mudra scheme, Mudra, credit gap, market access, digitalization, and government initiatives. You can cover these dimensions in women entrepreneurship topic. And the civil society and FCR, these one also most important topic. So one can cover that role of NGOs, FCRS framework, foreign funding, recent amendment to the FCRA regulating foreign funding, right? Foreign funding, transparency, accountability versus autonomy, and what are the regulatory issues. Okay. And the NTA and examination reforms also, right? Institutional structure, examination integrity, paper leaks. This can be also a expected question. And that cyber security issues, accountability, and reforms needed for these paper leaks, one can be covered here also. And sports governance, autonomy of sports federations, enactment of National Sports Government Act 2025. This act has been enacted now. So for that, athlete welfare, dispute resolution, national sports, like this. And also 8th pay central commission also, debate should move beyond salary hikes, fitment factors. Okay, role of pay commissions, compensation, and public administrations, right? So these are the topics one can be referred from governance and social justice, and the high topics we have given here, and from that you can cover these different dimensions, right? Okay. Then the final thing is international relations, IR. So we have divided this into 16 topics. What we have taken this from recent last 1 to 1.5 year newspaper articles and PYQ based themes and recurring themes. We have analyzed everything and we have given these topics. So we cover India's bilateral, regional, and multilateral engagement in this topic, right? So recent Ebola outbreak has been happened, na? So one can refer also WHO, hantavirus outbreak, pandemic treaty, right? So for the WTO, prepare principles, dispute settlement, agricultural food sorry, like you should prepare structure and its functions, okay, and India's role, and global health governance, pandemic preparedness, and pandemic treaty. One can be covered in WHO, whereas in the World Trade Organization, you can cover principles here. What are the principles of WTO? What dispute settlement? dispute settlement, agriculture and food security, subsidies, developing country concern, and MC14 negotiations, and WTO reforms. Even the WTO can be asked even in economy also, in GS paper 3, but one can be referred here also in IR. Okay, it can be asked in GS paper 2 also, right? So in India and global south, like India's position itself a leading voice for global south. So India is leading in global south. There were many articles regarding India is leading in global south. So we there can be expected question from global south, like prepare meaning of it. Okay, India's leadership, voice of global south, development finance, climate justice, and multilateral reforms. Recent multilateral reforms one can be prepared with respect to India and global south, right? And Indo-Pacific, what happened? Prepare India's vision. Prepare India's vision. Like PM recent visit to Indian Ocean, Australia, it has been happened, na? That's why. So Asian centrality, Sagar, Mahasagar type maritime approach, Sagar initiative, Mahasagar, maritime approach, right? And Quad, China factor, maritime security, one can be referred. Okay. And with respect to India-Japan relations, prepare defense, right? Infrastructure, investment, technology, supply chain, and challenges in India-Japan relations, right? And in SU, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, India's role amid regional security challenges, like prepare structure, its structure, objectives, India's interest. Okay, terrorism, Central Asia connectivity, and India, Pakistan, China dynamics. Okay, yes. Then another India West Asia relations. Like there can be a question on prepare Israel, Iran, and Gulf states. Israel, Iran, and Gulf states. Like in terms of energy, diaspora, connectivity, trade, security, and India strategic balancing. Right? What you can in terms of energy, diaspora, connectivity, trade, security, and India's strategic balancing. Okay, and India's diaspora, what we can do, evacuation operation has been conducted in India. Yes, that prepare economic contribution, remittances, soft power, labor welfare, and diaspora diplomacy. So cover these dimensions in India's diaspora. Okay, and energy security and OPEC. Prepare India's import dependency. Like crude oil price vulnerability, strategic petroleum resource, diversification, and energy transition. Right? And in COD, prepare members, evaluation, maritime security, critical technologies, supply chains, HADR, and India's strategic autonomy. Right? And there are many free trade agreements happen in in India and between various countries. So prepare FTA and SETA. Okay, trade, investment, services, mobility, it's diaspora, defense, and strategic partnership. Right. So with respect to Latin America, prepare trade. Why? Because Modi visit to Argentina, Brazil, na, our ties has been increased. Where Modi, Honorable Prime Minister, visited Argentina and Brazil. So that's why India Latin America ties has been important for this year. So prepare trade with respect to Argentina and Brazil, or even any Latin America countries, or you can prepare in general also as Latin America as whole. So prepare trade, energy, critical minerals, agriculture, pharma. Okay, right. And then another thing is India China economic relations. So prepare trade imbalances, supply chain dependency, investment, critical sectors, border tensions, is economic engagement and de-risking. So these are the dimensions one can be covered in India China economic relations. Okay, and for this Nordic countries, PM visited Norway and Sweden this year. So that's why we are looking over for this coding Nordic countries. So prepare green technology here, green technology, renewable energy, Arctic interest, innovation, investment, and India Nordic cooperation. Right? Yes. And then the most important thing is BRICS. Prepare its expansion. Because 18 BRICS summits to be held in India. So prepare its expansion. Institutions, New Development Bank, Global South, reform of global governments, like de-dollarization debates. So just because of this dimension, BRIC is important for us. And also India Bangladesh, uh, prepare trade, connectivity, border management, okay, water sharing, security, energy, people to people relations. Okay, so totally we have covered 69 themes in this entire GS2 probable themes. So one can be referred this 69 themes across three different parts, that is in polity, governance and social justice, and international relations. So make 2-3 page ready notes for this topic. So cover all constitutional articles, acts and institutions, and link with current affairs. Okay, and some challenges, Supreme Court judgments, committees, reports, datas, example. So if you cover these 69 themes na, your mains preparation will be good. So I hope everyone liked these themes which was given by us. So if you like more topics from us, please let us know in the comment section. We'll be going to cover in further sections. So till then, signing off. Bye bye.